This is the Media Labs Project.
So, here we go. Are you ready to take us back there?
Okay. People think sometimes, I think that, these kinds of stories are easy, that they're simple to tell and they don't have a lot attached to them. And these stories, not just mine, but every woman out there that's been through these things, these are not easy stories to tell. They're not simple. They're still full of emotion. They're still full of they're full of a lot of shit. You know what I mean? They are. They're full of a lot of shit. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but the geese decided to chime in. That's nice. I lost another subscriber.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's unfortunate. I don't know what they were looking for that they didn't already get. Maybe they didn't listen to every other episode. Maybe that's what happened, I don't know.
And now they're going to miss something that they might want to hear.
That's a true story. So, but yeah, we've been doing a lot this morning. You don't know it. It's coming out pretty soon, but we've been kind of just powwowing about a few things of what's coming up, and then we went and shot something. We shot a whole new beginning this morning, so pretty excited about it. As long as it turned out well, we'll have like a whole new opening piece for the show. Little by little, you just got to work with me, because remember, we're only 2 months old. We're getting there. I have a life that keeps me busy, so slow your roll on demanding content. It's coming. Chill. And then we have other announcements later. I don't want to get off track. I'll get in trouble. So, it is hard, cousin. It is. It's hard. I don't think people really understand what is out there in life. I don't think that people gather the right information. People like to get on the whole, anti-cop, bandwagon, right? And, my favorite saying is, I'm leading this to somewhere, so give me a minute. My saying is, y'all don't know this, but I'll tell you now, my saying is, the badge doesn't fail, people fail the badge. That's the distinction. And that's the part I don't like. And it has something to do with back then. See, back then, if you listen to the other episodes, I believe I covered that, see, back then, when we were on the stroll in Houston, if you ask a guy if he was a cop, and a lot of us did, we all learned. I mean, all the other girls knew, and I learned quickly how to look for those tall tale signs. And back then, if you asked, and he was a cop, he had to tell you. That was the rule. They changed it because they couldn't catch any of the girls in the act. So they got real messy with it, and a bunch of dickheads got together and thought, let's just get that law kicked out of there. But before they did, when we were out there, that's how it went. It wasn't that easy, for us to get caught, because we could ask. Even if we were actually already in the car, we could ask if they were a cop before any action even went down, and then that would bust the whole thing, because they had to answer, right? Because then if they went to court, it would get thrown out. So, you know what I mean? That's how it went. Well, even if you were in the car and you're getting ready to do the business, and right before you get your money and everything like that, and you say, wait, are you a cop? And he has to tell you, then you can actually get out of the car. You don't get any coins, but you can get out of the car. Safe, you're safe and sound. And then we started marking vehicles. Like literally we were marking them. So what we were doing was, one of the girls, one of the old veterans, she had been on the stroll for like 10 years. So what she did was she went to Walgreens, right? She went to Walgreens and bought stickers. You know, little kids' star stickers, you know, you get on papers and stuff and everything. She went and bought some of those. She taught all of us, this is how we learn. And it took them a minute to realize, right? So we would mark vehicles because she would give slips out to everybody. Everybody got a color, right? Everybody got a color. I remember mine was gold. You know, because I'm Jewish, you know, it was like a little funny thing. So mine were gold. And when you get out of the car, you could stick it somewhere. But it had to be where they wouldn't maybe pay attention to it, you know, but you would. That way, if they came around that same weekend, so usually this happened on a Friday, right? So you would do this on a Friday, and then if you saw that vehicle the next day and you saw any girl's sticker, because we all knew each other's colors, because we shared it, right? It's how we got away. You know, we also did it to the super perverts, like the super pervs. We did it to them too, except theirs, for all of those cars, they were black. All the stars that went on those, they were sparkly, but they were black. That meant this is not a good ride. This is, you know, and so because it usually was because he didn't pay a girl after the nut, or he tried to choke a girl or get her to do more than she wanted to do. That's why they got a black star. We kept a lot of eyes on a lot of cars that got black stars. We'll get into that, and so that's what we would do, because those cars they would quit one night, but they'd come back on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Or if we were all working on Thursday because it was busy, there could be a game, it could be something. You would not believe how many people come out of the suburbs. Just us boys are going to the game, right? They're going to stay the night, you know, to watch the game because they don't want to drive home. And it's Thursday because, you know, it's Thursday night football. And so our money was serious. Because, you know, the boys got together and they're going in town, and they don't want to drive, so they get a hotel room. Let me tell you what, if we could post up in a stadium, we'd have lived down the street from half of them. I'm not even kidding. And so, but that's how we kept track of cars, was putting stickers on them. So if you did that on a Thursday, right, and you got a cop that was on Thursday, you knew all weekend, and he couldn't get one girl in his car. And so we ended up going across town to Bissonnette and turning it on over to, you know, the biological girls that worked over there. We went to that side of town and put them up on the game. They were doing the same thing, except they didn't do stickers. They didn't do stars. They were doing hearts, I think. They were doing like different shapes. You know what I'm saying? Just to differentiate between. And I remember one time when someone had. She had come all the way to our side of town to let us know. She's like, we got a creep. And we didn't know what she meant. Usually, you know, they keep their creeps, you know, we keep ours. Well, this guy I had been out there maybe a couple months. He was super sketchy. He liked to get into the whole choke till you nut. And he was a bad dude. So bad that a girl came from the other side of town on the bus to come over and let us know, he's choking girls out. And apparently the reason she did it was because he wanted to know if she had, you know, any friendlies, meaning any of us. But if you know that part of town, you also know our side of town. So it was kind of, you know, weird, but she came to warn us. And I remember that when it worked out, because he had a Crown Vic. I remember that one. He had a Crown Vic. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. And you remember them old cars.
It's a cop car.
Well, some people don't know what a Crown Vic is, you know. So, them big old fat V8s they put in them fuckers. And so, yeah, she came to tell us. You remember but you remember Pretty Woman, how she meets him, right? When she meets him in his Lotus Spree, do you recall? So she's a working girl outside the Blue Banana, right? And she's with another girl that had been training her and everything, and it's a Lotus Spree. So this is Richard Gere's character. It's a Lotus Spree. And so he pulls over and she's like, that's a Lotus Spree. That's Rent. You know what I mean? She's like, you should, you look hot tonight. You should go for him. And people should actually see that movie in that part of the beginning when she, when she's meeting him. Because I remember as she's walking towards the car, the girl that's coaching her in school, she's like, work it, own it, work. And people don't realize that's legitimate. People don't get that is how it goes. And I mean, I've never seen a girl as beautiful as Julia Roberts on the stroll, but that is how it can go, and sometimes it's brutal. And fuck, man, fuck.
So where do you go from here? Now what?
So I got my first regular at, I think my first regular that I remember, I think I'd been out there maybe 4 months, and I had my first regular, meaning every weekend I could count on him coming. I knew what he liked to do. And so that would be $100 every time off the rip. I knew I'd get that every weekend. So if I didn't have any other action, or I didn't feel like any other action, I could be out there about the time that he would usually come around, and I knew that would be at least $100, and I wouldn't have to work anymore. I could go back to, our little nest. And our nest was a 1-bedroom apartment. We had, I would say 6 to 8 of us in there. We didn't really have furniture. We had some lawn chairs, we had bought, from Walgreens. A couple of the chairs I think we stole. Yeah, I think we stole a couple. And I remember we had a hot plate, because no one really knew how to cook. So it was a hot plate. It was, a can of ravioli, or whatever. And so I think I was out there 6 months, I think. I think I was out there 6 months before it really began to wear on me. I missed home bad. I missed something that was missing. It's hard for me to really kind of explain it. I missed something, that was missing. But a lot of it was beginning of missing home, and that was one of my first stages where, it's one of the first stages where the older girl, I don't remember her name, because the apartment we all stayed in, was in her name, and she schooled me on the dangers of having emotions. Because when you have emotions and you're out there, you don't pay attention, you don't do your best, you don't, it's dangerous to have emotions out there. It is dangerous to feel, because you're not supposed to feel. You can't. If you have feelings for anything that you are it can send you down a bad path, and that's what a lot of girls had done. They started feeling, and every time girls would start feeling, somebody would start using. I was lucky I didn't. I was an alcoholic, however, at 17. Because I came from some bad shit. Some really bad shit. And I had to break myself of a few things. I had to alter myself and recreate myself. And how do you do that when you're barely 21? You know, I said in the other episode, the first time I ever saw someone do drugs, you know, go watch that one, because otherwise you probably wouldn't understand this episode. So after I saw that, and then I saw what was happening to other girls as I got on the stroll and got introduced to more people and more situations and environments, I saw more things. And for me, I knew I needed to stay alert and have my faculties so that I understood, number one, where I was, because you never want to forget where you are. You don't want to forget your surroundings. You don't want to forget your directions. And a lot of girls, they were on that shit, and they would get out there and be on that sauce, and then that would begin to be their downfall. Girls got beat up. Girls would come back out of a car. I can't tell you how many times a car will drive up, barely stop, kick a girl out, and then take off. And then we're left cleaning her up. We have to stop our night. We have to get her back to the room. We have to get her back to our spot so we can clean her up, because she just got beaten unmercifully. And we can't go to cops because we know back then they didn't give a shit. They didn't care. Well, granted, they had to tell us if they were a cop, or whatever or not. But they didn't care about us getting beat up back then. Y'all just have no idea how bad it was and what it was like. I think you know this. That's what angers me the most about these people today. They have no idea what we've went through. No, they have no clue. And I don't want anyone to think it's some sort of glamorous world or anything like that, making connection to Pretty Woman, because that's not it. I was just making connection to that really is how a lot of girls act with each other out there and do with, new girls out there. And sometimes girls don't fit in because they just don't belong there. But let me tell you, let me tell people something real quick, right? It takes one catalyst to change a girl's life. Girl, boy, whatever. We had boys out there. It takes one moment in time. But all of us had the same thing almost identically in common with what put us out there. And it started at home.
Trauma.
It started at home. Whether it was, I'm just going to say it, fuck it. Whether it was molestation, whether it was emotional or physical or mental. Mine was physical and mental abuse, right? That was mine. And a lot of girls, every once in a while we would open up and we would talk about those things. Most of the time we just didn't. We just didn't. But we all knew we had those abuses because it would come up in conversations. I got asked how I got out there, what my story was. And sometimes when we're all together and it's quiet and none of us are working and everything, and we're trying to just chill and, relax and be each other's company, we would start telling those stories. And it fucking all starts at home. Every single time it started at home. Now then you pile on some got caught in drag, right? They got caught in drag, got caught with another boy. Those were situations that would cause things. And for people to be out there. We gotta get to, Cousin's telling me we gotta get to the cut, and then we go again. That's what she's telling me. So we will be right back. So we had to fix some things real quick. I'm trying like really hard to tell how truly bad it was, because later on I'm gonna do another piece, and I don't like to leave people hanging, but this is part of what the Media Labs project is these kinds of stories, and mine and others. We were just talking real quick while we were fixing some things and talking a couple of things out. You really don't know how bad it is. What was it, last month? Those 16 kids were found in cages. That was last month, right? In Ohio? Yeah, I think that was last month in Ohio. There were 16 kids found in cages.
Wow.
From a year and a half to 8 in cages.
Wow.
Yeah. And they were in cages by their own family. Yeah. 4 white trash fuckers had them in cages. 16 children. And the things I've had to do, like other people have had to do. I'm talking about kids. We were fucking kids. Not adults, we were kids. Some of us weren't even 20 when we were out there. The oldest, she was 34. She's the one that had the apartment for us. She was 34 and she'd been out there for 10 years. And she did not tell the story of her life. She was black. She was like a mother to all of us. Because she warned us. She even showed us pictures of when she had gotten beaten up, and she made the mistake of going to the police department to report it. They took the photos. They didn't really care. They didn't go looking. And don't think it was any easier for the girls on a street called Bissonnette, because it wasn't. Or other sides of town, because it wasn't. It wasn't. The correlation between what we do on the street and drugs is so, it is so highlighted by this kind of just the metrics of this underground society that people just have no idea exists around them. People, I don't think, really believe or understand how safe cops actually keep people. And that may sound shocking to me, or what's the word? I don't know if it's the word I want. No, it's not that. That may sound odd because, like I said, the badge doesn't fail. People fail the badge, right? Back then, no, that wasn't my opinion of cops. No, it wasn't. It wasn't my opinion of cops because half of us were fucking cops. Because sometimes when cops did tell us they were cops, there was the after conversation. I've had that conversation with cops. I know how many I had sex with. I know how many I had sex with. I'm ashamed of what I had to go through being lost, But I'm not ashamed of the lessons that I have learned from those things. I'm not ashamed of what I did to serve myself at the time, what we did to become kind of a family while we're all out there, and none of us were probably older than 22. I think that was maybe 23. We were out there doing bad shit with bad fucking dudes, doing fucked up, nasty shit. You have no idea what it's like out there. And so for me and other girls like me, that's why we laugh when certain people that we see, you know, in the media, running their mouth, talking, we pick up on the hints of what we know we see. That's how I know the things that I see out of certain people, you know, some of the talking heads on YouTube. Man, you gotta be kidding me with this, bro. You gotta be kidding me. But yet all the people around you, are buying it, your spiel, hardcore conservative, my ass, my fucking ass. Because I know what a lot of people are. There's women that know what, I'm telling you, there's women that know what a trick is. And we see them coming a mile away. And that's not to say every dude. But let me tell you what, on Thursday nights, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday sometimes, I remember there was Super Bowl one year in Houston. We all worked from Wednesday to Sunday. Wednesday to Sunday, we all worked. Made stupid amounts of money. Stupid, ridiculous amounts of money in that time, because money was really, you know what I'm saying, cousin? Money was really money back then. $100 was really $100. Not like today and you get 2 bags of groceries, if that. Freaking crap. But people don't know also how dangerous it really actually is out there. I find it comical, and I don't want to get off cue because I'll get yelled at, but I find it comical. Women always talk about, women for women and women's march and all this other shit. You don't give a shit about another woman, because if you did, we wouldn't have the missing persons list that we do. We wouldn't. We wouldn't. Some girls out there don't want to be found, and they're probably on a milk carton somewhere, but they don't want to be found. But you know where most of them are? Somewhere doing really bad shit under some really bad fucking people.
Or
That's
dead.
where they are.
Or dead.
Or
Already.
dead at this point, because they wouldn't do it. And you're never going to find them. But women talk about, and by the way, my cousin is a woman, by the way, so don't with me. But even she knows this. You do all this stuff for women, but if you really cared about another woman, if you really wanted to be there for another woman, you would realize how many women and young girls go fucking missing and get caught in this trap of sex trafficking. I don't mean to go on a tangent, but enough, you know what I'm saying? Like, enough, cousin. People talk about all this shit, women's march, and all. You don't give a fuck about another woman. You care about another woman when there's conditions placed on it. While you're marching, you care, but when you're away from all that, no. Or when you make fun of her because, I don't know, she's fat or something, or you just don't like her. Just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean you have to fucking make fun of them. But you think about your daughter out there. You think about your son out there. Because don't think we didn't have boys out there. And sometimes the boys made more money than we did. Because that's what they were hunting for. That was the truth. And the boys didn't mind doing some of that super, weird, fucked up shit. Matter of fact, it brings to mind, we had a boy out there. He was pretty too. Black boy. He was pretty. Well, she was pretty, right? Nobody could do androgynous like he could. Nobody. I mean, nobody could do it like he could. And you know what? He got $500 every single month from one dude, one time a month, for him to shit on him. $5 a month. Black Queen would squat over him. That's what he wanted. That's what he wanted. But he got $500 a month for it, one time. There was dudes out there wanted girls to pee in their mouth. Some of them, they want to dress up in latex and you spank them. I tried dominatrix stuff for like, how long did I do that? A couple months, I think. I did that stuff. You know, the whole whips and chains and shit. You know, the little dust feathers and all that crap. They want all that weird shit. Matter of fact, that was when I had left because I got an offer. I had gotten in a car. Let me tell you this. I had gotten this offer, right, from a guy. He worked in the porn industry. And he had picked me up, you know, one evening. I remember this story. He had picked me up one evening, thought how pretty I was and everything with all my curly locks, you know, and everything. And because I always kept my hair super curly, and I always kept just a big old ball right on top of my head. That's how I kept it. He worked for a company called Vivid Entertainment. It's still around. You can look it up. They still produce. And he's like, I've got this great opportunity. Why don't you try it? So I says, what? And then he tells me, come to Florida with me. I'll pay for everything. I was like, well, I need all that up front. And he got me a pager. And a pager. None of us had cell phones. I mean, they were out. You know, they were that damn big. But, you know, the first flip phone was still that damn big. You remember. And so, but I got a pager out of it. Well, I said, I'm not going to go alone. So I ended up taking a friend with me. And then I went to Florida and ended up, you know, trying out that. We're not going to, that is a whole other video. If we're going to, if we're going to talk about that one at all. But yeah, I went to Florida because it was an escape off the street. You know, I get a hotel room, you know, for the duration, you know, I try it out and see. I would get $5,000 for doing a tryout. I said, okay. But then I happened to like Florida. It was Fort Lauderdale. I happened to fall in love with Florida. Oh, stop. I fell in love with Florida. And they were actually a little bit nicer to us back then. And they were a bit more receptive. And so I met someone that she did dominatrix work, and so I met her and I got caught up in that for about, how long did I do that? I'm trying to think. I think I did that maybe I did that for like 6-7 months. Yeah, because I took all my money and went back to Houston. Yeah. But I did that shit, right? People just don't know, you know, what is out there and what is so, you know, explosive about it. We see things, I'm talking to my women right now though, we see things out there out of men you're never going to see. You're never going to see it. And the loudest ones that talk about this is nasty and this is this and sick and disgusting, you know, kind of like Michael Knowles does, you know, in his Bohemian butt fuck over there, Matt Walsh. They do that a lot. Yeah, you might want to check that out. They do that. And so I'm sorry, cousin, I had to do it. I'm sorry. Aww. He was watching me. I waved.
He's waving now.
Cute little booger. I can't wait till I have mine. And so, I'm telling y'all what, you just, man. But the reason I'm going to Houston is to tell where I'm from, right? The girls that are still out there, and then go over to Old Bissonnette, which is where the other girls, you know, still work, and go over there and tell their story. And when I ask them what got them out there and what keeps them out there, most of the stories are always the same. Whether it's a boy, whether it's tranny, whether it's, you know, biological girls, it's always the same. It started at home. And some people don't want to go home. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to relive it. That's what the drugs are for. People don't understand the correlation. I do love that word. But there is, though, between what happens between, and cousin, you understand this, what happens between Well, you said the word a while ago. Shit. What did you? Trauma. That's the word you use. They don't understand that how intertwined it is. I lost a nail. How intertwined it is between trauma and going off the deep end, and that's what does it. That's what does it. I am going to end up telling another story. For those of you that like to know, and I know everybody's heard of Wes Watson and, his supposed, time in prison and, and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm going to tell you the truth about what happens in prison because I did mine. I did my bit. And so I'm going to let y'all know some things about prison. Shout out to my dudes out there, by the way. We've done that. We've been there. Now we're trying to heal from it. And my ladies, of course. Just stay on the grind and just stay on the grind. Stay away from it. If you're out, do it. Do it. But don't go back. As hard as it is, just don't go back. But that's for another day. But I really wanted to put this out there. That's the biggest reason I'm doing this piece. And we're trying to get also into the actual jail. I have a friend that works with Christian Ministries. She's a real Christian, not one that just wears, a giant cross. She's a real one. And we've been talking about, me going. I was supposed to be going in September, but I'll announce it real quick. But I'm not, because I live in Indiana, wherever y'all are at. I live in Indiana. We've had a lot of flooding. And so we're gearing up to try to do a project to help out people that lived in some flooded areas here in Indiana. So that's our primary focus going into September. So I've changed the plan to go to Houston in October so that we can try to help people out here in our state that have been flooded out. So we're trying to work on that because none of us seen this coming, you know what I mean? And so now that it's happened, and it's really bad for us. If you've been watching the news and the socials, it's really bad. And so Cousin and I are branching out, and trying to get in contact with people. But anyway, my friend that works in Christian Ministries, we're talking about her meeting me in October in Houston so that she can go out on the stroll with me and see if any of the girls, just want a quick prayer, they want to talk, you know what I mean? And we're going to try to put us together to meet there at the same time to be able to do that. Cousin isn't going on this trip, unfortunately. She's going on several things we're doing next year, but not now. And there's other things I want to talk about. I just can't get there today. It's not something you just sit down and just blow out. Those years of me being stuck in sex trafficking is not easy to talk about. It can be harmful if I'm not in the right place mentally, and then I have to deal with it. And I'm all about mental health. I have a therapist. Cousin's very proud I have a therapist, because their mental health is really important. Like, it's, to me, it is almost more important than dental health. I'm not even kidding. If this isn't right, you can't heal. This has to be right. You got to have someone in your corner, therapist-wise, to take all this shit in here, help me deal with this. You have to reach that point. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm Jewish. We don't do any of that. You go to family with that, you smoke a cigarette and you get over it, right? But I just have too much I have to deal with, and I have too much that sits on me. Well, I couldn't do it anymore. So a year and a half, I started therapy. Let me tell you what, I picked the most fantastic woman I could have ever come across to help me. It was nothing but God putting something together that needed, that just came, it ain't nothing but God, nothing. She is a very special human being. And we've got something else we've got to do today, so we want to get that out there. But these stories will continue, and I'll talk more, and we'll do more, because we're heading in to September and then October. So we'll sit and we'll talk about more, and we'll get into these things. I'm trying to bring some statistics forward so you guys can see some things. But that's where we're at today. And I'll still be here tomorrow. So just stick with us. Like, share, subscribe, comment. You know, we'd love that. I know because we're new, maybe you guys aren't. But comments are always appreciated. But just keep in mind, keep them respectful, as I do offer free teeth cleaning to some people. Take that how you like. And because this isn't just my life, this is the lives of other women, whether they're this kind or cousin kind, doesn't make a difference. They're still women, and I care. We'll get into some other things, but not today. I think we have one more video to shoot, right, cousin? Okay. And then stick with us. Don't disappear just yet. Good content comes in a proper format. And then in September, by the way, we're getting into the news. Finally, our monitors will be fixed, and we're going to get into that. And hi. Oh, he's got earbuds in. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, man alert. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? There's a man. What do you want me to do? Are you kidding me? And with a dog. I mean, like, kidding? So just roll me over on the table. Like, I don't know what my cousin can hold your dog. But yeah, we're getting into the news next month, and we're going to start kind of, doing all of that. And we're still going to be about face and be here. So don't be so quick to leave. Stay. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. We got much more coming. Be here. Be with something different. I'll see you soon.